All right. Now, here we go, Pete. Boom.
We are on. We are live.
We are live.
Wow.
And we're right here. Like, not just live like other things, like your day-to-day, Pete. This is Facebook Live. And I think we should begin, especially for those that listen later, and it's just on audio. They should all know that behind you is one of the most amazing works of art. It is graffiti art, and there's a USC football player in it, Melrose Avenue sign, three pigeons. So I don't know how we want to begin this, but I feel like before you can have a real beginning, you have to acknowledge the aesthetic brilliance, Pete, of what's going on behind you.
I did this especially for this Facebook. Obviously, the two football flares are symbolic of you and I, theologically fighting it through. I'm pushing your head to the ground. I put myself in color and you kind of in black and white, I'm afraid. It's kind of symptomatic of your thinking. And then we have the birds, which symbolize the Trinity. There's the Father in the center, the Holy Ghost and Christ. And then we have the traffic lights, which is symbolic of, do we stop or do we go into life and life in its fullness? So there you go. It's a theological treatise of the topic of today.
Wow. Well, there you go. So, Pete and I are excited to get on here, excited to record together again, and be live on Facebook. Because
he says that, but he won't have me on his podcast anymore. I move out of the house. We were living in the same place, and I move out, and he doesn't take my calls. He doesn't answer my emails. Look, he won't even sit in the same room as me because of the incident.
Oh, we don't reveal the incident until we're on stage together at Theology Beer Camp this summer. So, if you're sitting there saying to yourself, why are Pete and Tripp on here? It's because we want to make sure everyone knows about Theology Beer Camp this summer. We're going to be in Denver in August on the 18th and 19th. Then we're going to be in Oklahoma City on the 25th and 26th of August. And those two events are going to be, it's just going to be a giant nerdy party.
Mess. It's going to be a giant mess. You be there to see it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you are interested, then you can go to theologybeercamp.com, and then you can sign up so that on the 15th of the month, when tickets go on sale, they'll be like 2 days. They're the cheapest, and you get extra time drinking with us and all that kind of stuff. You'll get that invite. So you want to go to theologybeercamp.com and get ready to rock and roll. So Pete, people sending questions for us to discuss while we were on here, and maybe you should just pick a number between 1 and 14, and
see what happens. Well, here I have a question first. My question is, why are you suddenly looking so cool? Has anybody noticed, like over the last couple of years, that Tripp Fuller's style has gone from god awful to he looks pretty cool? I know the answer to this question because I was there. Somebody bought him a free gift they send you, some place curates your clothes. They send you a box. And I remember one day he got this box. He was like, what's this all about? Let's have a look at this. And that was the beginning. So,
well, Pete, you don't remember that you were on the podcast and proceeded to mock me. You said, look, now that we're living together, I even know your wife thinks that you should stop wearing baggy jeans and free T-shirts you got at breweries because you're a professor. You can't be a professor and wear free T-shirts. I'm like, well, I'm doing it. And you're like, you should take yourself seriously. And then someone that was listening to the podcast signed me up for the 5-4 Club. And so I started getting clothes. And I found that if you have zero style whatsoever, the best thing you can do is to outsource it to people that do. And when other people like your clothes, then I go on my 5-4 account and rate it and said, people said it looked nice. I give it a check plus, and then they keep mailing me clothes. So I got a clothing subscription because someone heard you complain and someone bought you, PeterRollins.com, because you complained on the podcast.
That's right. Well, you've been obviously clicking a lot of John Travolta. What was that movie from the 1970s? What's it called? Do they all sing? I like it.
Look, because this is live, I'm pausing. I'm self-editing, Pete. All sorts of things. All sorts of things that are going through my head.
Well, let's go for number 7. 7's a number everyone always chooses.
Oh, okay. 7. What topic would the two of you wish you knew enough to write a book about?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Wow. Well, here, you've seen these questions in advance, so maybe you should go first.
Oh, I want to write a book about, I want to take evolutionary science and all the growth in technology and write a digital anthropology. That's what I want to write a book about.
Oh, wow.
Like, what does it mean to be human if you're kind of drawing out the way in which social evolution, which takes place at the level of mind and ideas and knowledge being transferable and progress being made apart from our genes, what happens when that side of evolution comes to dominate and then can act upon our genes and our cultures, which we're getting closer to technologically? Does our evolutionary kind of progress as human beings, and I mean progress in the generic sense, not like obviously it's better, explode at the, does our, all of a sudden our biological evolution evolve at the rate of change that social evolution does at mind? There's big debates about this in tech world, and I have theories about how they're the major different answers about what it means to be human, the relationship to technology, basically are different digital religions and how to begin to think about them. And like, you know, if someone was just like, hey, Tripp, here's a stack of money, you know, go spend 2 years learning things that you just watch YouTube videos about and say something intelligent, I would want to do that one.
Well,
So,
and in truth, in fairness, you've never let lack of knowledge stop you from writing a book in the past. So, so just go ahead and do it. I think I would love to know enough about physics and contemporary kind of quantum mechanics to be able to maybe not even not write a book about it so much, but just to see what, you know, what parallels there are with philosophy, what differences, you know, that interests me, and I'll read stuff at a popular level, but, you know, I would love to know the maths, and I would love to know the science well enough to be able to, you know, use that.
oh, Pete, now look, here's the thing. If we want to talk about science, this sounds fun. Maybe Theology Beer Camp, instead of us battling it to the, you know, there'd be 2 days of theological conclusion, like just boom, pyro versus process. Instead, I could just start explaining science to you, and then you might want to day drink.
Listen, at night you can do that to send me to sleep. If I'm having trouble with insomnia, feel free. The one thing I know, by the way, is your hero Whitehead? Did he not have an alternative theory to Einstein's theory of relativity that was completely wrong?
Actually, well, do you want to? You're baiting me.
No, I know I'm baiting you. Don't go there. Don't go there. We'll be here all day. I apologize to the viewers.
Look, I just want you to know that one of our mutual friends said that, and little did they know that I was going to explain the differences and how the math works out separately. And
he must have hated asking that, or she must have hated asking that.
I think after he said, well, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
It's like about Whitehead or the Lakers. Don't make a comment if you don't want a lot to go with it. All right, Pete, what's your next number?
Okay, number 4. Let's do 4.
Ooh. All right. Y'all spent time living together. What is the other one most right about?
Ooh, most right about?
Yeah, like...
I'll be honest, you know, when we have on numerous occasions tried to kind of argue and fight things out, but we do tend to seem to I seem to either learn from you or agree with you. So, you know, I actually like it. I think the difference is more, you're definitely much more inclined to traditional metaphysics than I am. But, you know, I find myself in broad agreement with so much of your thinking.
Well, that's very nice, Pete. But when I've been thinking about what you write about for a while, and
you actually liked my last book.
I know. Well, I just thought it was because it was the first book where you were really clear.
Yeah, that's true.
About what you don't believe. And the number of my friends that are like, you know what? I just think like Pete, he might not just be a doubting evangelical, and I'm like, no, he's not. And they just start. I think it's the accent. I think that's what it is.
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I just put this on. This is the only way that I get away with what I get away with.
Well, here's the thing I think you're most right about, and what you're right about that helps the most people is the insistence that our desire to cling to beliefs, especially ones that are unreflective, are actually impediments to the growth of ourselves and our life and our faith, that we cling to beliefs in order to externalize being honest about our experience and existence, and so protecting ourselves from being made open, vulnerable, and stuff to God and to life and to each other, and that's very much true. Whitehead called it the fallacy of misplaced concreteness. I was just going to start.
Never say anything simply that you can make sound complicated. That's the old philosophical maxim. I like that, but can you say it again?
Oh, the fallacy of misplaced concreteness.
That's nice.
He also said to seek simplicity and then distrust it.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. There's a few tweets there. Then Whitehead wasn't just incomprehensible in his writing. There's a few nice little nuggets there.
Well, I mean, but there's plenty that require graduate school student loans. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next number here, Pete?
Okay. 312. How many questions did you get?
They're like 14.
Okay. Well, let's go for 12 then.
All right. What atonement theory is the worst?
Oh, the worst. I bunch them all together and think any of them that try and put meaning onto the atonement are kind of equally bad. But you know what? If I have to choose what's the worst, it's the liberal readings. They're the worst because they sound plausible, and that's dangerous. You can get fooled. The fundamentalist ones sound ridiculous, so they're great. I'm like, fantastic. But whenever you get these more plausible ones, they're very, very dangerous. There you go.
I would think the worst one are ones that draw a contrast between the character of God and Jesus. If when you're describing whatever happened on the cross is somehow a way in which God's a jerk and Jesus is taking it violently, that's problematic. But the practical side of horrible atonement theories are ones in which they're only narrated as a solution for violators and not victims. And that a lot of atonement theories, their biggest problem hasn't been there aren't occasions or places or parts of history or situations where even ones we find repulsive function in a positive way. The problem is when you tell that narrative as if that is the only way of articulating it, and then you look at the victims and the oppressed and say, insert your narrative and problem into this story. And that is a problem. If the rapist and the violated have to experience a story of the cross in the same way, then that atonement theory sucks. Especially when Jesus is like definitionally the dude who took sides with the oppressed and the victim and the outcast. And then we turn the cross into a story about how God deals with violators and not has deep solidarity with the victims. Well, the moment you do that to the cross, it sucks.
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with you. But I want to go further and just say that any atonement theory that offers the cross as a solution is at all in any form is problematic. The only atonement theory that I like, apart from this idea of the cross as the absurd, as the breakdown of meaning, is René Girard's reading of this kind of and scapegoat mechanism. But yeah, very good.
Well, I know that's just because you read Tony's book. And
see, Tony, I like Tony, that book. But it's kind of like, that's the problem with the book, is it keeps perpetuating the problem of trying to render this moment meaningful. Like, it's like, just change the word cross for Holocaust. Just do that. All you do is read it. But every time you see crucifixion, just change it for Holocaust, and then read it, and then see what it feels like to go, oh, this is what it means. This is what it means. In one sense, this devastation resists meaning, and that's my problem.
Pete, I'm saving this argument for Theology Beer Camp because,
yes.
Well, no, just pick a number.
Okay, let's go for your favorite number 1.
Number 1. Oh, here we go. What philosopher do you wish you actually understood?
I mean, like, you go first. I've been going first too much.
Oh, so I was trying to think of one I wish I understood, and I think I would like PhD seminar and did good on the paper understanding of Spinoza. I think I want to go back. I mean, I've read Spinoza. I could pass undergrad awareness of Spinoza, but all I know is since reading Spinoza when I was much younger, I've read a lot of people use Spinoza in different ways, and now I want to go read and go like, oh, now I get what Spinoza's doing and why they had all these cool arguments about him.
Yeah, very good. Well, I mean, the truth is, for me, I feel like Zizek says this, where he says, like, all the great philosophers kind of misinterpret the previous philosopher. Marx misinterprets Hegel.
Zizek interprets Hegel.
Well, but there is this interesting creative misinterpretation, and so in some respects, I feel like the philosophers that I use most, in a sense, I'm misreading them. I'm not getting them. I'm reading so much into them. So in some ways, I would love to be a scholar, to be a scholar being somebody gives their life to one thing, and I would love to be a scholar in Hegel. Rather than just somebody who's read some Hegel, read some secondary sources, who enjoys Hegel, to actually dedicate 10 years of my life to really, really getting to grips with Hegel's dialectic and Hegel's kind of whole kind of like understanding of the unfolding of history and the absolute. I would love that. So, Hegel's someone, of course, just studying philosophy, kind of know a bit, but I think I would love to kind of understand him the way a Hegelian scholar understands him.
Ooh, the way a Hegelian scholar understands him. So
yeah, and who's a good Hegelian scholar? Merrill Westphal. I mean, not saying it's right, but I'm reading one of his books at the moment on Hegel, and it's brilliant. It's so readable. It's so engaging, and I think he was the president of the Hegel Society in America at one stage.
So the for people that are signing on now, they should know we're talking about this because in August, we're going on tour together, Theology Beer Camp tour. We're going to be in Denver on the 18th and 19th of August, and in Oklahoma City on the 25th and 26th. And they should go to theologybeercamp.com so they can sign up to get the email on the 15th. For the first 2 days, the tickets are going to be cheaper than all the other times, and you want to make sure that you get your ticket then, and then connect with all the people in the area and get ready because, Theology Beer Camp is going to be it's going to be zesty beyond measure, because Pete and I, when we were discussing what we're going to do at Beer Camp, we're like, one, all the talks we give we're never going to give before. It's going to be it's not going to be like, oh, I know Daniel it's part of the Denver group. He's like, Tripp, you can't in the middle of it start talking about how the best way of figuring out if your understanding of God's reasonable is to find out, would you let that God babysit? He's like, you can't use the babysitter fallacy during Beer Camp because you've already said that before, and I know you'll probably want to say it, and I probably will want to say it, but I'm not going to. The other thing
I'm less convinced with Tripp on this, by the way. I think sometimes you can return to certain themes, but I just have to do what I'm told, so I will do what I'm told.
Oh, look, I don't listen to you that much anyway, so you can fool me. I just smile while you talk and think about why you're wrong. And But so during the event, we're going to be structuring it in ways. There's like fun games and live podcast stuff, interaction, wonderful local craft beer that's going to be super tasty and zesty, and then we'll have like super nerdy
some gin.
Yeah, well, that's one of the questions that was sent in, was related, but also in the kind of straight up more straightforward theology talk things. We're building it around our ongoing arguments with each other and going to pitch it in tone where everyone present, we're attempting to lure you. I mean, that's at least how I would say it. Lure you to team process and not team pyro. And so one of the questions that came in was, what do each of you see as your biggest disagreements with the other? And maybe it's to help us decide all the different ways that I know you're wrong, which ones we should focus on during the event.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, you say this like as if you've got a list written down. I think you might have a list. Have you got a tattoo of all the things you disagree with about me? But I find it hard. Like, my main thing is I feel like I can't even disagree with you on the process stuff, because it's all this kind of metaphysics-y, science-y, kind of like process-y kind of stuff that I almost just brush off my shoulder. It's like I don't know how to disagree with it. It's just it makes me, I feel like a logical positivist. I want to like commit it to the flames, as Hume says, as sophistry.
Well, at least sometimes just dodging is a rhetorical art form, and I think you can come up with disagreements. I will work at helping you find them.
Yes.
So one of the other questions that came up that's connected to this is, when living together, what did you learn about the other one's thinking you would have not learned except that you lived together?
Wow. I mean, that makes it sound as if we were sitting around discussing theology, when most of the time we were just having drinks and smoking cigars. So I feel like there's this image of what it was like living together, where most of the time, well, you would sit up very late at night with your books doing your research. But can you think of any good conversations we had about theology?
Well, one of the things I would say I learned was that you're colorblind.
Yes.
And you may be saying to yourself, why does Pete always have dark colors?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day there is a single bright green piece of clothing. And everyone in the home just assumed, well, it's a bright green piece of male clothing. Clearly it's Tripp's, but it's way too small. Where'd this come from? Oh, that's mine, says Pete in a British accent or Irish accent. No.
British accent? What?
It's just one hut over, Pete. Come on. So that's why I realized that you were colorblind. And then I thought to myself, if he sees the world in such strict binaries, no wonder things that are actually interpretations of the world, metaphysical accounts, have color and vibrancy and life in it. Does it make him uncomfortable? Back to our disagreements.
Do you know something else about me? So I'm colorblind. What is my other weird thing?
Your other weird thing? You think there's only one other weird thing?
Do you know lobophobia?
Do what?
I've got lobophobia. Do you not know this?
No, tell me more. I don't even know what that means.
lobophobia, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's fear of cotton buds. Did you not know this?
No, like Q-tips?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's really awful.
I know that the end of your bed hated me. That's the other thing I know.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Pete, when he moves out, we find out you put the stinking bed frame together wrong, and at the end of his bed, it like goes like this, and there's like 14 inches of metal pipe just hanging off. And every time we would be arguing at night, I would walk into it.
It sounded like you were going to say every time we got into bed together. You stopped yourself every time we had an argument. Like, you're putting thoughts in people's heads. This is not safe for work.
No, the only person that was getting near bed was Pebbles.
I miss Pebbles so much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I have a fear of, like the Q-tips are not so bad. I don't like them. Like, I would never have them in the house, but it's the big cotton wool, the big bit, the bits that women sometimes use to take off makeup, and you pull it apart. That freaks me out. And it's a real thing, lobophobia.
I believe you. See, I was going to think your other weird thing is, so like when we would do stuff like this from our garage, before it, like I'm like eating dinner and making noise and doing whatever until 5 minutes before. Pete gets in the zone very differently. Like, he doesn't drink before and just center himself. He paces feverishly, writing on his notepad, which I've seen he doesn't even open. It's like he writes on it not to open while he's giving a talk. So he's like got his notes. He would be like, and then he paces back and forth, and he has to sit down, and then he's just like Seamus, and the pacing, getting so intense and worked up. I think that's where the fury comes from. And that
is true. That's so different. Like, Tripp would he'd be like holding the kid, there'd be dogs run over him, he'd be eating food, he'd be doing all this thing, and then suddenly the camera turns on, he's like, bam, he's right there. Whereas I need to take an hour of like pacing and writing and silence every time I speak. So that was we had to work out how to navigate that.
Oh, I mean, he can't even have a dog bark. Like, the dogs are barking. I'm distracted, which I do think, like, the other thing people don't know is that you are wonderfully cute and cuddly with kids.
I don't like to get that. I like to have the rough kind of exterior image.
I know, but like, I mean, even the other day when you came by, what's Pete do? He doesn't ask me when I'm going to be home. He shows up an hour early just to cuddle with kids and play with
Pebbles and what was the other?
Dino.
Pebbles and Dino. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So it's you learn those things. The other is, even Pete will do really, really cheesy kid prayers before meals if Cora asks him to do it.
Oh, maybe once. No, with Cora, I don't think Cora could speak when I lived there. I think
hands. If she gets you to do it, hands. Thank you, God, for hands.
This is terrible.
Food. Thank you, God, for food. Then you hold everyone's hands, and because Pete became family, we changed it to framly. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, when Paul says, "Be all things to all people," yeah.
Wow, yeah. I'm silent. Don't know what to say. It was, that was fun. Oh yeah, I miss all of that. No.
So here's one of the questions. Someone commented on the Facebook Live. They want to know exactly what has to happen for you to do karaoke during beer camp.
Like, honestly, like, that is not going to happen. I cannot imagine a situation in the world where I will be getting up and singing karaoke. I can safely say
if you're a praying person, if you want to prove the existence of God to Pete, if you want the big other to make a comeback,
yes,
then be working. In one way they could work on this is that while Theology Beer Camp will have assortment of just delicious local craft beer, underneath the podcast table on the stage, they could hide really good gin. And while you cannot say there's a strong correlation between the presence in gin and you doing karaoke, you can't say that if it's not there, there is no there. there's not even a chance. Like not even like 1 in a million at the end of Dumb and Dumber type of chance.
Okay, if the Holy Spirit of gin is in the room, you know, maybe the Holy Spirit will move. But yeah, whenever the karaoke is going on, you'll find me in a corner
with all the introverts.
With all the introverts, we'll all hang out and chat together. So there's a place for us when they're playing their crazy, ridiculous games.
Introverts that are part of the planning team on both groups have already said, well, I know a lot of y'all are ex-youth ministers, that's going to be your favorite part, staying up late and doing karaoke. We're going to plan something for the introverts. And I was like, that's good. It really helped Pete out.
Planning for introverts is great. You just have to have a room. That's the planning done. So we'll just find a room and have a drink, maybe have a cigar outside and just chat.
Well, what I want to know about how your film project is going.
Oh, yes. So we are working on this
You've
movie.
been working on it for a while.
Yeah, I wrote this ages ago, and then I put it to bed, and then I brought it back out, and now I'm looking to kind of make it into a short. So I will be launching a Kickstarter in like about a month. We've made all of the stuff, so we've got it ready to go. We're going to try and raise money to make it. That and probably a short based on one of the parables I often tell at my events. So that's the plan, and it's basically a reflection of the kind of the theology that I've been exploring. So this isn't The Shack. It's not God's Not Dead. It's not Blue Like Jazz. It's a theological kind of erotic thriller, which is a very common genre, as you all know.
Yeah. I mean, when I think of my favorite erotic theology thrillers, I mean, you got the one over there, you got one that won the Academy Award, and
yeah. It's kind of like, in one sense, it's a retelling of Adam and Eve. I read Adam and Eve as a type of Oedipal story, a Jewish Oedipal story. You know, you've got, you know, the mother, the guy wants to sleep with his mum, doesn't know it's his mum, and the father's in the way, kills his father, sleeps with his mum, thinks it's going to be brilliant, it's a disaster. Adam and Eve's a bit like that. You know, they want the apple, they think this is going to be wonderful, we'll be like God, which means whole and complete. And they break the prohibition, the father, they take the fruit, and they think it's going to be wonderful, it's a disaster. So the movie's like that. You know this already, but just for people listening, two people have had a very brief but passionate affair that's been cut short when the woman's husband finds out, and he says, if you ever see my wife again, you're dead. But as fate would have it, they get to spend 1 hour together in this beautiful hotel, and in that hour they have to decide whether they'll spend the night. Actually, he'll sleep with her but then die the next day, or whether he'll walk away and never see her again. And so it's the dilemma of the impossible desire.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking that if you were going for like an erotic theological thriller, it would be kind of based at a True Love Waits youth camp in the summer, where after getting everyone really tired and making them play games on the beach, even though that you obviously put T-shirts on over two-piece bathing suits, you know. Yeah. But like they get them in all super tired and stuff, and then you let them have like cauliflower, and then the lights go down and you see a slideshow of different diseases and post-removal slides.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realize that you were eating vegetables that look like things that were burnt off, and you hurl, and then
I'm a fan of True Love Waits. See, the ring thing is not. I'm a fan of this. This is like, I think this is absolutely brilliant. The whole thing about you think that the role of the ring is to stop you from having sex with someone, but it's precisely created so that you will desire it. The role of the chaperone in the past was not to keep two people separate. It was to make sure that the people would start to fantasize about what they could do if only the chaperone wasn't there. This is actually what the term making love means, and this is why the movie's called Making Love. Making love used to have nothing to do with sex. It was a term described the making of love. So when you wear the purity ring, that creates an obstacle that gets you to start fantasizing about how great sex would be. And, you know, and how wonderful. So you sort of overvalue it. It creates these excessive desires in you, and then you transgress the prohibition and have a great time. I read some research actually that teenagers who wear True Love Waits purity rings are more likely to have sex. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I did read this, and it did at least cohere with what I would think. So yeah, if you want to make sex really sexy, make it a prohibition. So yeah, True Love Waits is probably the cleverest Christian thing to make kids have sex.
Yeah. Well, so last question. You pick a number.
Yeah. Let's go for number 6.
Number 6. Let's see here. Oh. Which of Jesus' parables is your favorite? And for Pete, which one do you think you could tell during Pints and Parables and no one would know you're telling a Jesus parable?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, my favorite is the prodigal son, but only because I really like Kester Bruin's interpretation of it, that you can give it this twist where you realize that actually it's a tragedy, not a success, that the kid going back to the father is completely problematic. It's actually the complete opposite of what you see in the crucifixion, where the son doesn't return to the wealthy estate, doesn't go home, but stands his ground in the poverty and grit and grime of life, and then the father is converted. So I enjoy that parable for that reason. And I have to think about what one I could tell that nobody would know. What's your favorite?
Well, I wouldn't pick the prodigal son, except if that interpretation had already come out. I would pick it just because that is just a nonsensical interpretation of the prodigal son. And you know, if you're looking for a mirror, you don't have to pick a sacred text to do it. I think the one I would think is the most fun to preach on are like not the one all the liberal Christians like in Matthew 25, but like the virgins and the oil, or in Luke, the parable where the woman just annoys the dude so much that he gives her what she wants so he can go back to bed. And then and Jesus is like, yeah, you should pray like that. Like both the early Matthew 25 oil story and the annoy have female characters who are heroines in the story over against the logic of either, you know, the wealthy person they're annoying, or the time scale of the males in the virgins and oil story. And so I like both of those stories, and they always are ones that make people antsy the moment you read them. Like, I think those are the most fun stories the parables to use when you're preaching, are ones that, like, when you hear it, you're like, oh, whatever the immediate interpretation is, right? Like, oh, you better be ready and have enough oil or Jesus is going to come back and get you. Or when you pray, if you just annoy God long enough, God's going to give you what you want. Those kind of, whatever the immediate surface response is, if it makes your audience uncomfortable, then those are the most, you know, my favorite ones to preach.
Just to, and as well, throw in another of my favorites. I heard Rob Bell speak last week on this, and he did an amazing job on, you know, the 3 parables that are put together, which is, what if you are forced to walk 1 mile, walk 2. If someone tries to take your cloak, give them your tunic as well. And if someone slaps you on the right cheek to the left, hit them, turn your other cheek. Because each of those initially sounds like, oh yeah, if someone's really oppressing you, then kind of let them do it. But the amazing thing being, of course, the Roman soldiers could force you to walk 1 mile, but if they got you to walk more than 1 mile, they would get in serious trouble. They would breach the code of Rome. Mm-hmm. So doing that was an act of resistance. Obviously, everyone knows you slap someone with the back of your hand, it's a sign of disrespect at the time. But if you slap someone with the palm of your hand, it's a sign of you're my equal. So turning the other cheek is a form of this resistance. And finally, nakedness was a shame in that culture, but not a shame on the one who was naked, a shame on the one who was making the person naked. So if someone sued you, which they were allowed to do for your cloak, if you gave them your tunic as well, in a public place, you were becoming naked and you were shaming the person who was doing it. So in each of them, I think there's this really interesting dialectic of political resistance that is fascinating. So maybe that would be my example of using parables, not that no one would know are from the Bible, but that actually would have real resonance for us in the contemporary world.
Mm-hmm. Though I'm pretty sure the sayings in the Sermon on the Mount aren't technically a parable. But you know, but if people are interested in that, Walter Wink is the kind of New Testament scholar that develops that kind of third way resistance reading of those, and it's a super great book. Have you never read that before? Now it's just like a Christmas gift. Did
you say Walter Wink or Walter Brueggemann?
Walter Wink is the New Testament scholar that wrote the book on that interpretation of the Sermon on the Mount, and I'm pretty sure it's him. Someone in the chat may know. He wrote a book called like The Transformative Enactment of Scripture, or Biblical Study for Transformative Enactment. And whatever it is, sounds like it's like a Bible study teaching guide. And it's like how you teach nonviolent resistance by telling people it's a Bible study. And the exegesis in it is just wonderful. And the questions and then the role playing and stuff you do in it, you know, it runs like you could hand it to someone who just likes the Bible, and you're like, do you want to take Jesus seriously? And they're like, yeah, Pete, this is great. And then they start doing it, and by the time they get done, the book's like just mess you up. Now I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's definitely Walter.
I think I know it, because I remember they actually used that book in the charismatic church that I briefly went to when I was like a late teenager, which is kind of ironic. But I know the one you mean.
Well, so we're going to do this again in 2 weeks, or next week, or I don't remember.
Yeah, next week. Next Monday, same time, same place.
So you'll get an email. If you're on the Homebrewed email list or on the Beer Camp email list and aren't watching live, you'll get an email that says, hey, here's Tripp and Pete talking. Now you can send us more questions and topics for next time. And those of you that we didn't get to yours, don't worry. They'll be on a list. And some of them are topics I know we're going to argue about during Theology Beer Camp. So doing it now would steal the thunder, because I would be prepared and Pete would be hearing it for the first time. And like I already have to handicap myself anyway. So I don't want him to feel like
we'll see. This is the heresy of process being put to the fire of pyro. We'll see who proves convincing.
So so go to theologybeercamp.com and you sign up, so that the first 2 days, everyone that signed up, you'll get an email and you can get tickets at the cheapest price and stuff. And then we have a Tumblr page that is all Theology Beer Camp related. So our host in both Oklahoma, where will be the 25th and 26th of August, and in Denver, the 18th and 19th, they're able to get on. So when different like breweries are going to be bringing beer, you'll be able to see pictures and stuff from that. You'll be getting updates about locations and things. And then me and Pete can be posting things on there and letting you know. So you can kind of like follow along the process. And then when we go out, when we're on tour, then I'm going to be using it, and we will all the extra questions that we have that people send in we haven't got to, we'll just be posting them while we're driving around the Midwest and do things. We'll keep answering questions. So go to theologybeercamp.com and you'll know stuff. You'll know things. You'll find things out. And soon we're going to pick which – we've got a list of possible titles or subtitles for the event. And we're gonna decide on one soon, so we can get really sweet summer camp T-shirts. Because like why would you go to summer camp and not get a T-shirt? Have you ever thought about that?
Well,
what was did you go to summer camps in Ireland?
No, see, I never really did that, so I don't know that culture so much. But
what did Irish Pentecostals do with their youth in the summer?
Well, I suppose we did do kind of retreats or something. We just didn't call them beer camps.
Well, no, they were spirit-filled though.
They were spirit-filled camps. Oh yeah, but no, yeah, we didn't get free T-shirts. You Americans love your free T-shirts. It's like, honestly, we love, and then you used to love your free T-shirts, man. I didn't ever see you wear anything but a free T-shirt.
I got my free T-shirts down to 40. I only have 40 of them now.
And I think we should have purity rings, so as to kind of like really kind of, rekindle desire. Maybe can we do that? Is that something you do?
We don't need no Theology Beer Camp T-shirts. We want Theology Beer Camp purity rings.
Yeah. Yes, impurity rings. We can call them impurity rings.
Impurity rings. Because if on it it's like I was dirty all day, then all of a sudden you'll just the prohibition.
I know. I'll tell you what, if you're the only person wearing a purity ring at some party, you're going to get a lot of attention. Absolutely. I think that's the key. If I was to write a dating book, that would be the first step.
Well, isn't that like how the Jonas Brothers' career took off? Was they like of all the like little kids singing on the internet, they all had purity rings for Jesus. So then they had like a built-in audience.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't even know who they are.
Oh, well, that's because you were not a youth minister during the years I was.
All right, I'm going to look them up after this.
So, yeah. So the other thing is, if you are in Oklahoma City or in Denver and want to connect with all the people organizing and putting this together, then just let us know, and we'll play matchmakers because we're looking forward to coming. We're excited all the people in each city are helping put it together because we're just going to bring a party and nerd out and have a ton of fun. So you have any final words, Pete? Any thoughts, reflections?
This is my Jerry Springer moment. No, just hopefully you can come along and be part of this. It's Denver, Oklahoma City. This is one of the things I'm most excited about this year, is getting on tour with Tripp, because I know it's always a blast. So hopefully you can join us.
Yeah, and both cities are like Southwest Airlines cities. So in the summer, like the idea was you can come from anywhere in the country on Southwest Airlines to both of those cities because Southwest has those like super cheap, like $49 each way summer fares. And there are groups of people helping host in both. That will be helping people that are coming in town find out best places to stay and all that kind of stuff. So, keeping travel costs down and things. So, yeah. And, until next week.
Yeah. Take care.
But we'll see you then.
Bye.